Right, hello again. If you're looking to improve your moving abilities in Geoguessr, whether that's because you want to start speedrunning, competing in moving leagues, improve your moving abilities for duels, then this is the place. I'm going to give 5 tips. Obviously it takes practice, but this is a good place to start. The first tip is around information. So obviously a lot of what you do in moving gameplay is trying to find information as quickly as you can and using as little info as possible, narrowing it down to the right spot. If it's a weakness of yours, so let's say you're looking at this, which is a list of biggest cities in Mexico. If you're looking through these and not recognizing most of them, or don't think you'll be able to find them on a map, then it might mean that place names, town names, region names are a bit of a weakness. So there are plenty of quizzes on Sporkle. This is just literally just one example. Like if you fancy getting better at Philippines, you'd play this quiz. I've probably forgotten all of them. No, remember that one. So yeah, like lots of ways to train. It's not something you have to do so laboriously. It's just you need to get it onto your radar a bit more. You see signs to places and you find yourself often struggling. Like just try and pay a bit more attention, picking up and remembering place names as you come across them in Geoguessr. Then the other side of information is not just place names and regions, but other things. Knowing what to look for in certain countries. So I'll just give you a few examples here of things that people might not know, but just really handy to look for in certain countries. So these little markers are everywhere in Turkey along big roads. These first 3 digits here will tell you the road number you're on. So you can find them really easily, the D roads in Turkey. You might have seen this before and just think it's just a series of numbers, but you can actually find roads pretty quickly using this. Another one. So New Zealand and Australia can have this too. Turkey can have this. You'll see town names on the bins. Very, very helpful, particularly in duels and things like that. If you see a series of bins on the road, don't just zoom past them. In certain countries, stop and have a look. It might get you, like 4999 or 5k. Postcodes in the UK are quite often mentioned on street signs. They're not always that straightforward, like L is Liverpool, that's fairly straightforward. But it's just good to be aware of, and it can help you make a good informed guess. Africa, I wouldn't spend much time going around looking for signs in countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya. I'd focus on looking at addresses on shop fronts, that kind of thing. So here, it's telling us the name of the town. And again, that'd be an instant good score if we knew what to look for. Other things as well, like phone codes. So here, just knowing 21 is going to be Athens. That can save you a tricky 50-50. Just things like that, very useful to know. Right, so second tip is visualization, meaning as you move around a location, try to develop an image in your head of what you think the map should look like. So from my experience playing Lao, I know this should be Savanakhet from the grid shape, but you don't have to know that off the top of your head. But if you have an image in your head of a grid that's slightly off north-south, then if you go and look at Savanakhet on the map, you'll see it looks right. So instantly that's quite a big help. Then we've got this last something road. It looks like it's this road. Yep, so we might be where I've just clicked. Then what else would we expect here, just from visualization? Maybe a building on the northeast corner that doesn't quite touch the main road. I guess that fits, kind of. It's slightly offset. But let's see. We'd also have a road behind us that only comes off to the west, not the east. Petrol station. So the petrol station here is going to be the main thing, in fact. So kind of like this somehow. Yeah, that's the petrol station. Yeah, so I like this. There we go. Again, that you can see there the little gap with the building. Trying to picture up that on the map is helpful. Yeah. Tip number 3 is scanning, which is an extremely important skill in Geoguessr, regardless of whether or not you're moving. A lot of the time you're going to see town names, you're not going to know where they are, and you're going to want to find them. So best thing you can do is be systematic. So let's see. So Snina there seems to be a place name because that's an address. I don't know where Snina is. We're in Slovakia. It's not completely flat, so I'm probably going to focus my search on the kind of slightly more northern and eastern side, kind of ruling out this corner. So what I'm going to do is feel quite comfortable with this zoom level that I can have a look and I've just seen it, so there we go. So I chose the right zoom level. Starting there is a bit too extreme because we're only really seeing like 3 or 4 possible places. So starting there is about right. We might have like 20 town names there that we can very quickly just kind of rattle through in a few seconds, and then eventually I'll get there. But it might have been something smaller. It might have been Telgart, in which case you finish and then you think, right, I'm going to the next zoom level, and you're doing the same again. But obviously at that point it gets a bit laborious, and you might think about looking for other clues. But yeah, that's kind of how to do a nice bit of systematic scanning. Right, okay, 8, so should be northern. I'm looking for A Fjord, which is the biggest distance away, so that should be the biggest town. Not always, but should be. So I'm at this zoom level, I've looked at everything and I don't see it. So I'm going to go in again and maybe even think about the landscape slightly. It looks very northern. I'm going to really focus up here, and there it is. Yeah, next zoom level worked. So didn't see it here. Looked at the landscape again. Always try and narrow it down as much as possible. That's going to help with scanning, and we saw it. So there you go. Right, tip number 4 is going to be knowing what to look for. Something we touched on earlier, but you really don't want to be wasting time. I'm not going to look here because this is ridiculous. Yeah, you really don't want to be wasting time. So you want to know what actually matters. So if we're in the Philippines and we're fairly urban, I'm going to be looking for kind of billboards and addresses and things that might have a useful bit of info there. So I see Bohol there, and I know exactly where Bohol is. So yeah, I can just, obviously I can then go further and find the town, etc. But I knew what I needed to look for there. Another one, we're going to be in Guatemala. Guatemala's quite tough. This one seems like it might not necessarily be that close to info. But generally you might find signs sometimes, but more likely you're going to find like regions and things mentioned on billboards. So that's the sort of thing I'd look for. Let's just see if there's any other examples. So Sri Lanka, maybe again. Road numbers can be useful. You might find like a little marker. You can get addresses on shops. You can actually get some quite decent signs, but normally on slightly bigger roads than this. So that's what I might look for. And then this is Australia. I think it's Australia. I'm going to look for signs. I know we're on a big road. Australia is not always great for info, but on a road like this, I might hope to see something. So I'm actually going to care about that. NSW government, there we go. See, I thought that might have something at least slightly useful. But that might be helpful. If you're playing Duels, you might then just insta-plonk NSW, maybe pick up some points. Yeah, in this case, with slow movement, it might take a little while to get 5K info, but let's just see. I'm not going to get distracted. I'm just going to very quickly make a decision on whether or not it has good info. So gunning, fine, that's useful, but I don't know where it is. Kuma, I've seen. Yeah, okay, so Canberra's there, mentioned M23, so that's going to be here. Scan for gunning, hopefully. What happens to the M23 then? Kind of weird that. This might help. Goulburn. So we're between here and here. I'm just not seeing these places, which is a little bit unfortunate, but I'm going to assume it's here. Yeah, we saw Sutton Road, so yeah, worth picking up on that bit of information, I think. It came from over here, so we're just going to be right there. Yeah. Again, visualization there coming in. So, I knew we'd join the main road by going north. I knew we're at the apex of a curve. This is the only thing that fit because of the direction of the curve, etc. Tip number 5, always use the compass. So at all times the compass should be in your consciousness to some degree. So yeah, this might be a good example. So we're in Romania here. I'll find the 21. So Braila is quite big. It's here. 21 is this one. So yeah, I know it's to our northeast, so we're going to be down this stretch. In terms of distances, we're a bit closer to Braila than Slobozia, so somewhere roughly around here might work. And then what I'm going to do is, so side road is going to be 211, but most importantly, by pointing down to the road, this will give me a great representation of what the road angle will look like on the map. So yeah, I can see this angle here on the 21 is exactly right. Perfect. Done. Let's try another one here. So C is west. Port Noloth. Okay, I know roughly where that is. And again, yeah, using this road angle again, that main road just looks perfect. Like, you know, it doesn't look like this. It doesn't look like any of these. Doesn't even quite look like these. These are slightly different angle if you compare them. So yeah, it's going to be this main road, 100%, and that's the, yeah, it looks like we're in front of this building. Yeah. So yeah, another aspect of using the compass at all times is just keeping half an eye on it as you're moving. So, you know, if I'm coming away from this roundabout, it is helpful to know which way I'm going. And also, you know, the road might bend at some point, so I know I'm going west now, but actually, you know, if we'd stayed on that bridge, like, you know, it starts to go in a more north-south direction. So yeah, something like this makes sense. Again, in my head, you know, we were going roughly west, and then it started bending down, and we know it was a bridge. So this looks about right. We started just north of the roundabout as well, so I can just send that and it's going to be correct. So I'll do one last round to bring it all together, explain my full thought process using all of those 5 tips. Okay, actually in the UK here, and yeah, we're over a river, so check the angle. I know it's kind of not quite east-west, a little bit more northeast, but okay, that looks very Welsh to me, and it actually rings a bell. So again, I'm using this tip of, you know, starting from a higher zoom level, yep, and then systematically going in, and I've seen it straight away. So that's going to be to our east. I didn't even see that we had this sign, to be honest, but so if that's to our east, then, I mean, I can go back to the start here. It looks as though there's a roundabout, because I know that's what the roundabout signs are in the UK. Check the angle, it's going to line up perfectly, and we're going to be there. So that's a bit of compass use, a bit of scanning, all of that kind of thing, all kind of brought into one good example. So hope you found this video useful. If you want to know any more details on anything, just do ask, and I can do a follow-up if you think there are things that I missed. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, and see you soon.